Hi, today, in response to requests for a working example, and also in response to the fact that we've just been given the information of an extra 3 weeks of lockdown, I'm coming back to the topic of anxiety, and I'm going to work with you on a working example of how to use the Apple model. So let's start with a thought that might be occurring that's causing anxiety. So we've just heard that the lockdown is going to continue for 3 weeks, that we haven't hit the peak yet, the circumstances that we have found ourselves plunged into with very little preparation continue. Some of us entered that situation with anxiety in the first place, or issues around anxiety disorder, and some of us have not known anxiety before because we've always had that sense of certainty that life is on a trajectory that we put ourselves on and that we liked it. And all of a sudden, we're not there anymore. We're in a state of almost panic about how we're going to manage the next few weeks and what the consequences of it are going to be. And we're seriously thinking about the future and what the future is going to look like. And of course, there's masses of uncertainty around that. None of us know what the future is going to look like at the moment. And I think that there'll be a lot of new normals to come out of it. So nevertheless, let's just focus on the process of Apple. So the first part of it is acknowledge. So let's say you acknowledge this sense of rising panic that's coming in you. That's like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get through the next few weeks? What's the future going to look like? I can't even begin to imagine that I'm going to be in a good place in 6 months' time because I might not have a job, I might have no money, I might be homeless. And you're starting to catastrophize those thoughts. So that's your moment to stop. Stop. Notice, acknowledge. Now, sometimes you'll find that you've gone way down some path of thought process before you get to the point of it going, oh yeah, I'm in that place. I'm doing that mad thing again. I'm making myself really anxious. It doesn't matter. The minute you notice it, acknowledge it. Stop, pause. That's the P. Pause. And try really hard to not react as you normally do. So if you have started to feel yourself really escalating in your anxiety, take a stop and breathe out. A big breath out, like a sigh, just sigh. I'm noticing that I'm having those escalating thoughts. Pull back in that moment and tell yourself, this is a thought. It's not me, it's a thought. It's a feeling, it's separate to me. I'm leaning into it, and therefore I am experiencing the thought, the physiological processes of anxiety that go with it. But what I'm saying to you now at this point is in this pulling back, realize it's a thought. You don't have to believe it. Do not believe everything that you think. Our thoughts create our beliefs, but sometimes we have to stand in the way of that and say, no, I'm not going to believe this catastrophic processing that I'm currently going through. I'm going to turn that around and believe differently. Now that's going to take a while to develop, to build that positive self-belief, and that biology of belief that carries us forward is an excellent method, but it takes time to develop. But nevertheless, pull back. Remind yourself that you don't have to believe every thought that you have. Ask yourself, do I want to believe this thought, or do I want to have a more positive outcome? And then you get to the L, let go. Let go of that thought or feeling. Acknowledge that it's going to pass. You don't have to respond to it. Maybe you can imagine it floating away in a cloud, or in a little boat down a stream. Just visualizing it disappearing is what you're hoping to do. It's no longer a thought that you're in the grip of. And then explore the present moment that you're in. Explore the right now. Notice where you are, where you're sitting. Ground yourself. Feel the floor beneath you. Look outside. Hear the bird song. Touch things. Smell things. Anything that's just now, that focuses your attention back to now. rather than future anxiety. And then thinking about what you need to do now, or what you were doing before this started, or what you might do that's fully supportive and that's going to embrace your full attention, such as an art project or reading a book or going for a run. Anything that's going to hold your attention and keep your brain focused on the thing that it needs to focus on in the here and now, and not drift off into anxiety about the future. If you can apply that model, then you start to free yourself from the anxiety. Step 1. Once you've got into the habit of doing that, it gets easier. The acknowledging and the awareness starts to come sooner. And the sooner you start to pick up on it, then the better you become at managing it, because it's always a process. And sometimes you need to keep being reminded about it. So that's it for the Apple model and for helping yourself out of a hole that you've fallen into because of anxiety spiraling. I sometimes call it the rabbit hole. And then tomorrow I'm going to talk to you a little bit about understanding where your anxiety comes from, in terms of whether it's talking about your relationship with anxiety and what purpose it serves. So that's it for today. Be kind and be patient with yourself and with each other. Especially be patient with yourself around the Apple model, because it's not something you're just going to suddenly press the button and it works. It takes time to absorb it and to become good at it, but it's a skill and it's a useful skill, so proceed with that. Be kind and be patient and have a good day.